Make sure you leave a comment below of what you thought. And last but not least, we have a new format that's going to be coming in the spring. If you're new tuning in, we're going to have the ability for you to call in and talk and ask questions. And it's going to get real deep, real deep. But this is our last episode in the traditional classic style. So we are pandas, savage pandas. And what a savage panda is basically someone who decides to fight against all odds, who is the underdog, who has challenges and obstacles that are going to overcome, but they're a fighter, they're a warrior, and they're going to keep going. If they're bleeding and crying and crawling and having temper tantrums the odd time, they keep going until they reach their goal. And a panda is someone who's willing to take different routes and is inclusive and loving and unique and a variety. I'm trying to think of all the words that describe the panda. I just love pandas. That's it. That's all you need to know. So we are the pandas. So today we have on the show the amazing Mya Williams. Welcome to Panda Strong Podcast, Mya.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
You know, whenever I hear the name Mya, I think of that song Case of the X. I think you're younger than me, but it was like, you know, he's up to midnight and she's on the phone. Begging for you to come over, he's all alone. Or that Dip It Low song, you know, Dip It Low, bring it up slow. Yes.
You know, most people think it's pronounced Mia in the States for some reason.
There's no E, and there's no E. How do you like that? I like Mia. Ooh, listen, do not be naming your children Mia. That's just wrong on so many levels. Don't do it. It's not right. Someone actually calls you Mia. That'd be so weird. You like walk next to Mia, Mama Mia, Mia.
Look
Mia.
at that. Like,
Mia. That's what are you a painting? Is that your painting name in the Renaissance time? Anyway, her name is Mya, M-Y-A, just so you know, Williams. So she's from the USA,
yes.
And she is a 75 kg power lifter and middleweight strongwoman. Yeah, when you're passing like you're cool, but then she's talking like, hey, you're mega cool. You're the ultimate coolness. So if you don't already know, her recent awards include third place Indiana Muscle Pirate. Sorry, I interviewed Muscle Pirate. I love Muscle Pirate. Muscle March 2019. Tongue twisting names. That's just one of them. Her first place wins recently include she broke 4 state records, Illinois State Championships March 2021. First place, she got Battle of the Rhinos, which is pretty cool competition, November 2021. First place, she broke 4 state records, Raw Power Challenge, December 2021, which is pretty crazy. So she's broken 8 state records in the squat, bench, deadlift total. And she will be heading to the USAPL Junior Nationals in 2023. She basically, you know, she's a former junior national softball, you know, team athlete. She traveled across the world. You know, she had some injuries that happened and, you know, had to recover from depression and other things. So we're going to go into that in big detail today. She is the owner of Stone and Steel. Did I say that? Steel
Yes.
and Stone? Stone and Steel? Too much metal. I'm not going to get it. It's not a trace person. Why doesn't people? Oh yes. By the way, people, check out on our site. We are hiring for a co-host. That means you get to join me in the shenanigans. I'm just kidding, but you do need to remember things like that. That's your only job. The part of my brain that doesn't work sometimes. All right. So she owns that gym, and yeah. So you know she coaches athletics. She's a public health director at the. You don't know what this is. Yo, man. No. YMCA.
Yes.
You people need to work on your music skills. So anyways, welcome to the show. Hey, ho. Nice to see you.
How
you doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
I'm better now that you're here. To recognize. So let's go back to the very beginning.
Yes.
Back in the day when you were playing softball.
Yeah.
Let's go back, because I mean, you know, there's a pretty powerful story there of how you became so amazing. So let's start at the beginning. Yeah.
So I started playing softball kind of on accident. I used to live by these softball fields way back in the day. I was like 6 or 7, and I saw college athletes practicing at the time. So I was like, I want to do that. Like, they are so cool. So I joined the little youth team in my area, and they turned out to be a traveling club team, which just means that it's just a little bit higher level than recreational stuff. So I've never thrown a ball before. Like, I borrowed a glove from a friend. It was beaten up and used. And I was like, I'm just going to try this. We'll see. So it really stuck. And ended up working my way up and playing for teams until I was a junior national team, which is, it's a little bit different everywhere. And kind of a newer thing when it comes to youth athletics. So they had 4 separate teams all representing the US, and we traveled around North America mostly to play tournaments. And this was all year round. So sometimes we'd be playing outdoors when it was really hot, and sometimes we'd be indoors in the dead of winter. So I never really got a break. And I just kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
You know, you're so young, and this was my parents' first experience with something of this caliber. So we really didn't think about recovery. So any tournament, any practice, anything, I would just go, and I would go 100% all the time. And this quickly kind of turned into overdoing it. And that's really an understatement with how much I was doing. So, and I kind of realized it when I was like, at this point, I was probably 14, like just entering into high school, when then I added on, you know, the pain of being in high school plus
it is a pain.
Yes.
I'm an entrepreneur. I hate working for people because the moment they talk to me like a child, I'm like, I'm gone, bitch.
Yes.
Welcome welfare. Like, I would rather be a welfare than be, you know, spoke to like a man child. Anyways,
right.
But above that, you couldn't pay. You could pay me to go to the worst job, but you could never pay me to go back to high school again.
Oh,
so
same.
You could not pay me.
Never again.
Even if I was loved and I got like great grades, I would not go back to that prison, that stinky, smelly sweat sock prison. No, not gonna happen.
But yeah, exactly. Like, I was not doing okay. I was under a lot of pressure at that point. From really, it felt like everyone around me, because I don't like to toot my own horn, but I was very good at it. So by the time I was 14, they were like, what college are you going to? Like, you need to start looking at this. You need to start admitting to colleges. And in the US, there's divisions in college.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah. So it's starting, the lowest level is Division 3 and then up to Division 1. And Division 1 are your really big, really good, well-funded schools. And people were really pushing me, and like, I was just like, no, like, I don't even want this. Like, I just want to go to school and get an education. Like, I don't think I want to do this in college. So I started grappling with that, and still facing the pressures of trying to perform so highly whilst also kind of falling apart internally. So I got into this habit of restricting food to kind of cope with that. Because I was like, well, if maybe people see that I'm tired or see that I'm not performing well, they'll kind of pick up on the fact that I'm not having fun anymore. So this continued to spiral over the years, and we got to my senior year, and I was committed to go to a school that was for softball, and they were talking scholarships and all this kind of stuff, and I had like secured it. Like, everyone was happy with me. I was doing exactly what I was told, and then I tore my rotator cuff in my labrum at the same time. And I remember it so clearly because I was just like, you don't, with an injury like that, you don't feel it when it initially happens. You feel it well after. So I was laying in bed, and it was like pain I cannot describe. It was like the worst thing I had felt at the time. And I woke up my mom, and she was like, why are you speaking to me at 3 a.m.? Like, what is your problem? And I was like,
Okay. My mom would be like on her deathbed and be like 100, and I'd call her at midnight, be like, Mom, I gotta tell you something. It's like,
yes, exactly. And my mom is like, she's a morning person, but like when you first wake her up, she is like, I will hurt you. Like, why are you waking me up? Yeah. So I told
your
her,
mom's a gangster. Don't mess around. You up. Don't do it.
So I told her what was going on, and she was like, we'll get it checked out. It's fine. I played a tournament like with this pain. So I was just like in between every throw and every bat. I was just like cradling my arm, like, what is going on? And me being a prideful teenager was like, you know what? I'm just not going to say anything, which is so dumb. Like, don't do that if you feel something.
But I think that there was very toxic, not to interrupt you, but I think there was very toxic. I think it's important we talk about, especially because you're public health director of the YMCA, and how physical literacy education has changed. What are the expectations, and how all of that unwraps. So like, you know, I think I'm older. So like back in my day, you know, you're not that old, Stephanie. I'm like, I've done shit. I've seen shit. I've lived. Shit has happened. Okay.
Yes.
All right. But you know, like, yeah, back in the day, there was a very toxic mindset around physical fitness for kids, and it was like, shut up, just muscle up, just do it. And you know, women and boys are different in the way that, you know, not saying that we're less capable, because that's not even at all something I would ever talk about. But my point is that the way that girls were kind of approached was like, okay, if you want to be in sports, you got to go hard, you got to go all out to be all noticed, right? And if you got a period, too bad, suck it up. You, you know what I mean? You gain 5 pounds, stop it, fatty, go eat celery. You know, like it was just very toxic. And you know, girls and boys are different when it comes to sports, and that's scientific fact. You know, especially at certain ages, but not when it comes to certain things like bone density and whatever. That's way too much time to talk about all that stuff. But basically, my point is, you know, there was, especially for women, is that pressure to look a certain way. And now, thankfully, you know, people care more about self-care for athletes, especially like, you know, as a dancer, right? It's like, you know, you shouldn't be performing and training with, you know, a cast or anything on your leg, right? Because dance is all footwork, right? So that's just for example. And taking a break and eating before rehearsal and all of these things that are really important, the psychological aspect, getting chiropractic and physio. But you didn't speak about it because you'd be shamed. You'd be considered a whiner, right? Like, you know, I remember as playing soccer, and I mean, I have disabilities, so mine was legit. And, you know, he was like, just run, just push through it. And, you know, you pay for that as you get older. You definitely pay for that. And some people it hits them sooner or later. But yeah, the eating disorder thing for me was always because, I've always been a more athletic person, and I carry muscle mass really easy, but I've always been heavier because of that. Right. So there was always that pressure. I was taller than the boys. I was, you know, able to do what a lot of boys could do, but, you know, there was that pressure to still look like a girl. So I totally get that. Thankfully, you know, a lot of that is still just changed. There's been, you know, there's more open doors, but, and that's our responsibility as physical literacy educators, right? Like in terms of the YMCA, you know, we've done the research now, especially in Canada in the past 10, 15 years. We know that very few people, even if they're trained right and they have all of those things handed to them, you know, they've got the right coaches, they've got all these supportive things that go, you know, the network of sport teams, you know, for an athlete that goes into, you know, very few of them are going to actually become an elite athlete, and for such a short time. And is the sacrifice really worth it? I mean, if you're somebody who's insanely talented and you want that, and you totally are aware of the consequences on your lifetime, can't get back, your health, great. I'm not hating on that. Do it. Go for it. Love it. Support you. You know, I'll be your biggest fan. But let's train people for overall health and wellness and fitness. And I know you and I are going to talk about that more, so go on with your story. But I just wanted to kind of key in those are important points to talk about, and that you're not alone, right?
Yeah, those are totally stuff I wish that I knew then, and now try to tell other young people, like, you have to really pay attention to that stuff and listen to your body. Because I can remember from such a young age, they were telling us, you know, oh, you'll be fine. Like exactly what you said, like don't listen to your body, just keep going. And
your body's a liar.
Right. Yeah. So I kind of just shrugged my shoulders and was like, you know what, like people are expecting something of me, so I need to perform no matter what. So of course this injury got significantly worse to the point where I couldn't lift my arm up to the side. I couldn't flip my hand. Yeah, one of those. It was rough. And I had never ever, and I'm so thankful for this, before that point, I had never really hurt myself. So I got to the point where I just wasn't mobile anymore. And it just tanked my self-esteem, because as I was sitting out, I saw the other girls going and doing and being better and getting this encouragement, and everyone, there was just this air of disappointment around me, as if it was like my fault that like I went and hurt my shoulder on purpose. And
you jerk, we're supposed to win the game. Jerk. God, called stretching, Mya.
Yeah. I should have done more of that.
Like, oh, how'd you know you're calling me out on your show? I didn't know. I didn't you guys. So on that little interjection here is we're going to hook you up with all the links with Mya, so you can connect with her for coaching at her gym and online and all that stuff. We're going to go into that to talk about, what specifically she offers. But also, we have a group on Facebook. It's called Team Panda Strong. We have fitness and dance challenges on there and nutritional recipes for keto carnivore diets. That's kind of like diets I really think are good. I mean, there's no one size fits all, but anyways, that's what I focus on. And then Strong Women of Canada, which is our group specifically for women of any age who are into weightlifting, any type of strength sports in Canada. So anywho, we're going to connect you with these resources so you won't have to struggle like us, you guys. That's what today's all about. That is the theme of today. Anyways, continue, Mya.
Yes, I love that. Side note, I love the website. I spend so much time just looking at everything because the colors like make me so happy.
I know, like I'm all about the color, like and sparkles and everything. You don't even know the stuff that's coming out. I'll tell you, show you're gonna lose your mind. It's amazing, but there's more glitter and color coming. But yes, I would. Whenever I'm like picking designs, I'll be like, and I'm like, yes, colorful, yes, I love it. I'm taking it. And then I look at the website. Yeah. Sometimes I spend like I've spent 3 hours between 3 designs in the background. I'm like, I like them all. And I'll just one. Why? Anyway.
All the colors.
All the colors. Like, if I find a store, a physical store, it'd be massive. It'd be like the size of the bay, because I'm like, oh, you like green? Look at our green collection. Oh, I like pink. Look at our pink collection. And there'd be so much. That is actually the hardest part of the store, is just like telling myself no. Just no.
Yes.
You have 1,000 SKUs. Calm down. Calm down, designer. But I want to do art. Anyways, I'm glad you proved. Yes.
But yeah, I was this is kind of when I started transitioning into, I wouldn't call it strength sports yet, but the gym. So I was low, like I was at my peak of restricting at this point. People were very worried about me. And I decided, I couldn't play softball anymore. And I felt like that was my entire identity. So I chose to not even go to college that year. I was just like, I was low. I was like, nope, if I can't play, then I'm not going. And everyone's so disappointed in me. I'm just going to like peace out for a little while. So I moved out of my parents, and I had just turned 18. And so I was like, I need to do something. So I started lifting weights at this local gym. And it started to become like a thing where I'd stay and just chat with people for like, at first it was like I'd be there for an hour, but then I'd literally stay for 3 hours. So they were like, you know what, just work here. So I got a job there.
Here.
Yeah, it's convenient. Free membership.
That's how they got me too. They totally got me with that. And like now that I'm older, I'm like, it's $40, but I was like, free membership. Mind blown. I'm gonna save millions and trillions. I'm gonna be so rich after this. 1 year free membership, will be so rich.
Yeah, that's 18-year-old me. I was like, whoa, cool. $30 to pay for a job. But I started personal training and kind of working odd jobs. You know how gyms are, like larger.
Oh yes. So
You
yes.
might be personal training, you might be mopping the floor. It's all
Yes.
the same.
Oh yes.
So I started doing that and learning a bit more about it. And then I got some personal training certifications and things of that nature and started really getting into it. And I met my now coach and business partner, Steven, who was a strongman competitor. And he was like,
Steven, shout out to Steven.
Yes.
Steven, are you listening? Are you listening, Steven?
He was just like, there's this sport that's perfect for people who need to be largely competitive all the time, but also just like want to have fun and throw shit around. And so I was like, sign me up.
Very good for people with anger problems, unresolved.
I was like, why not? Flipping a tire sounded like the best thing possible for my mind at the moment.
Yeah.
And then I was at that.
Anyways, go ahead. I was gonna tell you sorry, but no, I'm a mistake. All right, no rabbit holes today. We're on point. The daytime interview.
We are both rabbit hole people though.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, no. That's a 6 out of 10 story. I'll leave that one in the bucket. We're good.
Okay. Well, he basically signed up for me because I was like, I was like, yes, that sounds great. And then the nerves hit me. So he was like, you're doing this. I'm going to coach you through it. And I started following Strongwoman on Instagram and kind of try to learn the sport a bit and see what was what. And it was the first time in this moment that I had been on, I guess, a fitness journey. It's not what I would call it anymore, but I was in that space on Instagram where it's all about how little can you eat and can you drink 3 gallons of water a day to get skinny. And coming into the strongman community, it was like, just eat and train and recover. And that's it.
Oh my God. I used to work with this dude at the YMCA and he'd be seeing me training and I was ridiculous. I used to go I used to train because I was always there. Yeah. And so I would train 2 sessions a day, 3 hours each. And then I would do 3 hours cardio. I was working out 9 hours a day. It's ridiculous. 6 days a week. And I'd be working out and I lost so much weight and I was so shredded. And he was like, yeah, but did you throw up today? I'd be like, hey, Bob, or whatever his name was, can't remember. How you doing today? He's like, good. Did you throw up today? I'm like, no. He's like, you should probably get on that. And he was dead fucking serious. When I first met him, I thought he was totally kidding. No, he was full on. And then he'd be like, come here, I will pinch you and check your body size. He was such an a-hole.
Oh my God.
So I was like, I would never be good enough. I would never get there. But yeah, no, training at the gym is with the YMCA, it's an interesting dynamic of people. Yeah. That is what I can say. It's not Planet Fitness, but it's and it's not a corporate gym, but a lot of times when I see spoof videos or things, I just think of the YMCA. I'm like, that reminds me of a time.
You're not wrong. Yeah. And the culture around it was I didn't realize it at the time. And I think 1, it was because I was so young. And 2, I did not know anything about fitness outside of what softball coaches were telling me. So I was like, oh, it has to be normal to eat 2 ounces of boiled chicken for a meal. It's great. That's what Instagram's telling me to do.
Bro, no, I'm going to tell you a story because it's disgusting. I've never, not even my mom, not even only Lord Jesus knows this story. So I was the chicken breast thing. So I was so obsessed and then I worked in the military in the rec department. So then there was even more skinny, hardcore, extreme personal trainers around me. And so I would take chicken breast to work to microwave it because I didn't have an oven. If I forgot chicken breast, I was prepared to do that. I was prepared to eat raw barley with protein powder on it, with water. The disgusting things I did to be skinny.
And I was just like, what is the point anymore? All of these women who are throwing 200 pounds over their head are eat and eat more. And I was just like, okay, I'm ready. Give me all the food.
It's the whole concept of Beyonce got cheated on. So, she's Beyonce. I mean, God, right. Look at her. So it's at this point, but, yeah, just let it go. Yeah. But that's for me too, was what attracted me because I don't know, I just I've done every diet, I've been every weight, I've been from 160 pounds to 300. I've been all across the map. And I know I feel better being smaller, but my body's natural. I just I have asthma. So like as a cardio person, I'm not great. For a strength athlete, though, I have good cardio for me to dancer, but my body's designed for strength. It always has been. So why fight it? It's like Jessica Sarah Biel, I don't like the way she looks. I think she looked great before she met Justin when she first started career in movies because she just had like natural amount of body fat on her. Yeah. And she was always, that's actually, she was what I wanted to aspire to look like. At the time, she was the only actress who had, you know, broad shoulders and you know, was tall and looked, even though she was slim, she looked like she could pack a punch. And she looked, you know, she wasn't shredded, but she just looked like a fit, you know, woman who, if you needed her in the military, she'd probably get shit done. So I was like, I want to look like that. And when I was younger, I was always drawing muscular women, but that was just, you know, I didn't know that you could be muscular and a super fit person and not be skinny. And as a dancer, just the constant pressure to be a certain weight, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. Like I love performing, but like I don't want my whole life to revolve around, you know, thinking about it, not eating meals with people in public places. Because I've eaten before, because I have to eat my little lonely chicken breast in tinfoil. I feel like I'm seeing like a violin playing right now. This whole story. It's just so sad, you know. Like, oh.
But it's like so many people can relate, which is even worse. Like the Instagram fitness trap.
Oh gosh.
I always joke it's like the Fitspo to Strongwoman pipeline. Like just being allowed to be.
So now you want this. Yeah. Follow, share this link, you know, you want it. Oh man, but that's what, you know, it's so funny how people pop up on your Instagram. I'm so glad you popped up my feed. I was like, oh hi, no, it's Mya Williams, you should be on our show. That was good how that happened. Thank you, Instagram. You. It's true, because I mean it's weird, you type in certain things, certain people show up and then other people don't show up and then other things show. It's just it's a great mystery. Oh, don't blame me, blame Instagram for the impressive guests that we have, you know. But yeah, so going back to everything we're talking about right now, so you're navigating the fitness industry as a new trainer before you had Stone Steel Athletics. With that personal experience behind you, right, of being an athlete and struggling with that high expectation of conditional love, which that's what it is. Yeah. And then trying to recover from eating disorder, which I can relate to because, like I said, I struggled with that most of my life. I started struggling with eating disorder when I was 8 years old. Before that wasn't known to be a thing. And then going into Strongman, how that's now like lifted you, lifted your spirits, but empowered you, you know. And then the next steps from there, obviously you opened Stone Steel Athletics, but how did you get through that? What changed in you, in your mind, or how you exercise? Like, talk to me about that mental, physical, spiritual, emotional journey.
Yeah, it was hard because when you spend so much time on one goal and then you've got to pivot to something you're terrible at. I was like, my pride was so hurt. Like, oh my gosh, I suck at this. Like there was not a single implement or movement that I did well. And Steven the test, like I would be like sitting there, crossing my arms, tapping my foot. Like, why is this bad? I've been excellent at something. Why can't I do this? So like becoming the student again and kind of bringing it back down to zero and starting from scratch was so humbling. Yeah, especially with the sport as like there's so many different things going on in strongman. You have to learn so many things just for one contest. So that was even more like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
It may not look like it. I don't know if you guys can see one of our phone cases. But carrying a keg over your head is actually, it's really rough because my children always handle my phone. They break everything. I do like 5 cases a year. Anyways, throwing a keg is like, getting a keg on your shoulder is extremely hard. Yeah. It's like, trying to get your kid on your shoulder if they were like, I don't know, like 15. It's just insanely hard, It is. And it was their freaking kettlebell workout guys with their like 9-pound kettlebell. They're like, ooh, like they're all cool. I'm like,
see what we can do.
Yeah. It's like when I thought of you said how you felt like you sucked, it makes me think of like this 30 or 40 or 50-year-old guy who always like, he's like at a game and he's like still living in his past and he has to like throw something and be like, yo, look at my pitch back in my day. And he just like throws it in the field and tries to make the kids be like, ooh, ah. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, like, whatever.
Glory days. Yeah, he's like, look at it. I was a sexy beast once beneath.
Like, those seriously, that guy. like literally staring at Steven, like, what is wrong with your coaching that I'm not immediately good at this? Like,
It's your fault, damn it.
Right. I was so mind blown, but also like at that point, I was so hooked on getting good at it. And then I competed in March, I believe, of 2019 at my first show. And after that, I was just like, I love it. I can't stop. And the women, well, everyone, but especially the women were so kind and like encouraging. So that was another thing where I was just like, it's no going back after this, because you don't really get sports, especially in the fitness industry, where people are kind to each other.
That is true. I'm not going to say anything else, but I'm just going to say that's true. That's true. I don't want to throw no shade, because
right.
I had my face at shade one day. So, but you know, I mean, dance is very, 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 very critical, and it makes you go psycho, because people don't understand. Like, I don't even like my videos because I do all the things I should have put there, not put there, but there's so many things that have to be on point. You need to respect your cheerleaders, biatches. I'm just saying, like, you know, because you have to be like, and have your face in the right angle so there's no double chin, you know, everything. And, you know, like every little thing, there's a million things you have to think about. And you practice for 6 months and you got one shot, right? It's kind of like the Olympics. Dance is like the Olympics all the time. You're practicing to get that one good video. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really difficult. Like when I making just a TikTok dance challenge, like I want to make it way harder, but just even like getting that 1 minute of choreography, that's going to be practice of like 2 to 4 hours minimum. Right. And that's fast, but that's just for a basic TikTok challenge dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People don't see the behind the scenes of how much work it takes just to get just a little bit better.
That's why it's like, if only, you know, like when there's a lot of dedication that's like required. But I want to like, so going back backing up a little bit for the eating disorder part there and the pressure, like, so obviously you had to shift mentally and change your nutritional habits. Talk about what you were doing, what you stopped doing, how you stopped doing that, like how you implement new things. Like, give us kind of a detailed lookout of like what your food looks like. I know everyone needs a different nutrition plan, but I'm just saying.
So I had no plan kind of going into it beforehand. I just knew that I was trying to eat as little as possible to sustain myself throughout the day. So I don't want to go too into detail, but it was a very small amount. Yes. But going into Strongman, as people who've competed or just even done anything like that know, like, you need to eat in order to feel energized, in order to even perform well, just because it takes so much out of you. So we started off with just, you know, Mya, maybe you should eat 3 meals a day, like really broad, big goals. Like, let's start there. Just 3 solid meals a day is all that was asked of me. And then we slowly started working in more food in each meal and then snacks in between. So it was kind of like literally teaching a toddler how to eat. Like, oh, we normally eat when we get up because we're hungry. Like, that was something that I had to learn, and that a lot of people who come from a past of eating disorders have to learn, like, how to regulate their body and be okay with eating more. Because that was really hard for me, was like, even when I was hungry, I was like, maybe I shouldn't eat. And I had to like fight those feelings and regulate my body.
Well, the biggest thing that is the most important thing is the hormonal, like, especially for women, is the hormonal damage you're doing, and the damage you're doing in general for male and women, and men, everybody, is you know, the adrenal gland damage and just the body flow, and how you can be thin and fit and get diabetes and all these other things. Right. So focus should always be, you know, feeding your body at a cellular level, you know, so everything a cell needs to regrow, right? Because your body is always regenerating itself, so it can't regenerate if it doesn't have what it needs. And that's when you get immune compromised. That's when you get sick. And then, and it's just a domino down, right? So you have to get the main stuff, but then if you're working on training harder, you've got to add that extra in, right? And thinking that from like, you know, longevity perspective of like, I want to be around for a long time, and not just about the looks, right? Because you can be thin and like get diabetes and cancer and every other health issue. So, you know, it's like, I think about it like all the time I've worked on, like, so I started weightlifting at 13. So that's over 20 years. And if people are still struggling with these things, then obviously this dieting thing doesn't work. Obviously, you know, fads don't work. So go back to proper nutrition, go back to just proper exercise a day. You know what I mean? Like in the summer with my kids, I walk everywhere and anywhere because I just, because I can and I should, instead of driving everywhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, making sure I get that cardio in as I'm coughing. Sorry guys, I'm getting over a cold, the asthma. It's the time of year, the snow is melting, all the dust is coming out, getting my lungs with the wind. But yeah, no, so it's small steps, like you said, small steps, and don't always try to be so extreme, and just adding those, the key points of change into your life, adding more water, right? Walking more. If you walk a little bit more, you'll have more energy to do this, to do that. Like I walk before I work out because I train at night. If I don't go for a walk, like around the block, I'll be way too tired. Like caffeine won't even work. I'm just like, I can fall asleep just had a cup of coffee and I'll fall asleep. So I need to like walk and get that blood flowing and going, and then stretch to get them kinks out because the kids be breaking my back, and then train. Anyways,
Yeah. But yeah, you made such good points there. Like just relearning how to like just be healthy and eat healthy was something new to me, because I think a lot of people think, eating less is eating healthier, or eating primarily vegetables is eating healthier, but it's really about balance. So I had to figure that out. Yeah. Alongside being okay with gaining weight. Like that was a huge thing for me. I just be okay with watching my body completely change, especially because we were repairing my hormones, like you said, and repairing my cycle. Yeah. And it was huge for me.
The cycle, okay, TMI for all male listeners, because we do have male listeners, but like in case you got a girlfriend or wifey or you want one, this is something you should know. Like women's health is 1000%. If you study from, Reiki or any other science, Tai Chi, whatever, any other science you want to name, and I can name a lot, women's health starts in the pelvic floor. Our hormones, and second to that is our gut, right? Everyone, it's their gut. Your brain, your health is in your gut. But for women, it's our cycle. And if you do not take care of your hormones and your period and your cycle, and you don't have good reproductive health, then you get PCOS, you get this, you get that. And it, you're more prone to getting ovarian cancer, and it just goes and goes and goes in a really bad direction, right? And it's the same thing for men if they have they're really having the lower gut, and they can be super, super athletic. So is that fat or is that muscle? If it's muscle and you're a strong man, okay, but still, don't be hacking back cheesecakes like Eddie Hall did when he started. That's not a good idea, okay? Don't do that. Do not do Eddie Hall's diet when he started. That's a bad idea. I mean, yes, he's amazing, but I'm surprised he did that. But
I think he is too.
I love him. He reminds me of my brother, and I love how he's always talking shit and a shit disturber in his personality. Like, I love him so much. Yeah. He's I want to meet him and hug him. But yeah, going back to I always watch a lot of stuff in bariatric surgery, and I'm super obsessed with this subject, and just alternative medicine and getting people to heal themselves from you said being a toddler, right? Like going back to Mother Nature, going back to this. If you were a kid, what would you need just to be happy and playing and living your best life, right? And basics of that, and then kind of moving past it. But there's a really low success rate with bariatric patients, and I watch the shows. I watch so many, and I read, and it's always like the blaming of the person. And I'm not always saying that that's not true. Sometimes I didn't do their part, but we look at the stats from the shows like the Biggest Loser and all that. It's too extreme, and you're screwing up your body. It's not sustainable. So when I hear these patients losing 50 pounds a month, that freaks me the F out, because you and I know from our training that's way excessively higher than what should be in a month. So yes, losing weight in general is good, and you'll have the fastest gains with strength and weight loss in the beginning. We all know that. But in terms of, general maintenance, slower is better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I think 3, 6, 9 month programs are ridiculous. A program to get somebody body composition maybe a little bit down, but the focus should be balance, strength, posture, all these proper healthy things. 9 months is a minimum to me. So if you're trying to for bodybuilding, you're someone who's say a strong man in my weight category, give yourself a couple of years. I mean, if you do it sooner, great. But my point is you're taking all these supplements, and they're good, but you got to watch, right? Because then it's overcompensation. And my concern is you're still abusing your body. Yeah. Even if it's healthy. I used to abuse myself with supplements. I used to abuse myself with vitamins. I got to a point when I same timeline with you, actually. So I started, the personal training and working the Y at the same time as you. But I was like, okay, I was selling the best supplements in the world, USANA, and I'm not hating on them because they didn't tell me to do this. This was just me. Well, I shouldn't say that. But there was definitely, I don't know, peer pressure, but like commentary, not direct telling, but there's an influence. Peer pressure, damn it. I was like, I don't even need to eat these shakes and these bars. I went from eating a whole bunch to natural food and the shakes. And they were so expensive. I think I was spending, $600 to $800 a month on that stuff minimum. Yeah. And I could have easily spent probably at that time, which was 10 years ago, probably like $1,500 because of just all the stuff that if you're making your whole meals of these expensive supplements. And I was like, hey, I can't afford that. So I'll just take the daily vitamins and I'll just have the shake with water and some fruit and I'll live off that. Then it was like, hey, I'll just live off of vitamins and occasionally have a piece of bread. And that's fucked up. And I got parasites and I thought I had cancer or like, I don't know, what is that, Lyme disease? I was so sick. I had a mini stroke. My eyebrow was a little crooked and that's because I lost all fluid in my face.
Really?
And I had the stroke. Yeah. I had the stroke alone in my house by myself. And I don't know, I remember like so much trauma. I don't remember. But I was like, probably, I don't know, I was probably 22, 23. I was really young. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's not okay. Like if you eating healthy and you exercising, you're this weight, accept that shit. Accept it.
I completely agree.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's insane as a culture that we think that's a good thing. We praise people for abusing themselves into health and fitness. You know?
And like to put it in perspective, I think I started recovery in 2019 and now in 2022, I'm just now getting normal abs back. And I feel like people don't have a good idea of how long it really takes to repair these things to improve, to get better and to be able to like actually see what's going on because you can't see on the inside of your body. You can't see your gut. So I really, especially within public health, tell people like learn how to listen to your body and just accept what it's doing. And if it's not good, slowly fix it. Like no more crash diets, no more 5-day cleanses, like just slowly improve and things will get better.
I'm laughing because it was so awful. I used to take all that stuff too, and you just diarrhea, right? Like it is.
Yes.
It's yeah, and you're screwing up your gut microbiome, and you're pooping out the good nutrition too. Yeah. We should have never allowed the peer pressure of looks to get to this point with people that they have to self-induce harm that level. And it's affecting you too. And I've talked about that on the show before is, the amount of kids with eating disorders and boys dying from Red Bull overdoses, not Red Bull, but like energy drinks in general. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, there's too much, right? Like, you shouldn't have steroids and doing all this stuff and you're 10 years old. Like,
right.
I mean, pressure. And it's just hard because like you said, you want to have a scholarship, you want to make money, and I get it. I totally get it. You want to be something, you want to be successful. So I'm not throwing shade on that. But people's lives are worth more. They're worth more than their greatest achievements or the size of their waist. Their value and what they can contribute. There's still success and significant without all of that, Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
I'm not hating on the elite athletes. That's great. I'm not saying all of them have done those things to get there. I'm just saying, like you said, if you're having problems with your body or you're having to do things that are not good for your health, then it's maybe not for you at that level, Accept that. Acceptance. My grandma's been preaching that to me before she died her whole life. She'd be like, Stephanie, the Lord's Prayer, accept the things you cannot change, accept who you are, forgive, move on. It's powerful.
Yeah, it is. It really
is. Be mediocre. I'm just saying, accept your situation, do make the best of it, do what you can with it. But, don't hate yourself for the things you don't have, or you're not there yet at this stage or whatever. Like, just try to find some peace and inner peace.
There's so much time to improve. So people just really need to take a step back and relax, because you can find so much love within yourself and accepting everything about yourself, whether you deem it good or bad. Just trying to learn how to accept and then improve, as opposed to just fight everything that your body's telling you not to do. And
another thing too is, it was the worst thing for me was I didn't want to have kids because I was like, oh, well, I'll have all this loose skin and nobody will love me and I'll have a mom bod for the rest of my life, you know? And that's so stupid. Like they're the greatest gifts to me. And you know what, honestly, I thought I had accomplished so much before I had kids, and I was so depressed because I was like, oh, once I have kids, I won't be able to do all these things and my life will be over and blah, blah, blah. And I have more confidence, better body image now than ever did when I was smaller. Like I said, look at the Facebook pictures. I'm like, girl, hot damn, hot shit. I was not just a snack. I was a whole meal. I was a whole buffet, damn. You know, but at the time I was like, so ugly. You know, because just I was young. I was in my 20s. You're just young and dumb in some ways. And I you know, I've accomplished more in terms of my education and things I want to do in the community work. Like I started a nonprofit too, you know, 2 years ago, and then walked out and baby too, never happened. So, but it is folks. But my point is, yeah, kids don't end things. Yeah, these ridiculous timelines. Some of them are somewhat true. Like that, you know, you shouldn't probably have kids when you're 45, 50. You know, it's probably not recommended. But that doesn't mean like everything has to be exactly like I own a house at 24 and this and that, right? You know what I mean? Like
there is no right or wrong way to do things.
Everyone's journey is a path of like spider webs. So going back to being a public health director at the YMCA, it's the YMCA. That's my jam. Every time that comes on, I don't care where I'm at a social and I'll be twerking to that. Let them know, representing the brand, you know. Yeah. Like, oh, not that kind of YMCA, damn. So like on the subject, like talking now about what you want to teach to everyone, especially women, you know, about like I said, getting strong and freeing and not to obsess on making yourself smaller. What are things that you focus on and that you teach, and like just kind of like your methodologies, your principles, your moral things that you believe in terms of what you teach, like and do with the YMCA and at Stone and Steel Athletics, you know?
Yeah. So at the Y within public health, we really try to make it all inclusive. So our whole goal is to make sure that we're really going into the community in my area and figuring out what is needed and try to create programs to provide that. So we've got stuff for people that have just need joint replacements. So they do like all aquatics and things like that so that they don't feel like doing stuff like on land. We've got programs for cancer survivors to get exercise in a safe space, especially with everything going on nowadays. Yeah. And we've got stuff for kids, trying to teach them how to make healthier choices with food and get some exercise. That's all like learning based and all sorts of things. So I always joke that public health is just a giant umbrella of anything you can really think of because it all ties together to create community health. Yeah. And then with opening Stone and Steel, Stephen and I kind of both just dealing with everything I had previously talked about, and he has his own stuff. We were just like, there's something missing within our community that provides an actual community outside of just going into a commercial gym and putting your head down and working out and not speaking to anyone like we all done.
I hear community at a corporate gym, and all I feel is the scene in my head of a guy coming up behind you and be like, hey, that's not how you do that. Or hey, what's your name? What's the son? What's the number? Or just that. It's not community. Yes. Like I hated that at a corporate gym. Oh my God. The people, the weirdos, and I'd always have to be like, yeah. Especially because I worked there, I always had to be like, yes, hi, yeah. I'd be like teaching class, and there'd be like some weird guy who'd pressure me and be like outside the window, like trying to weigh me down. And I'm like,
it is really not a job for the week. Commercial.
I mean, teaching kids are coming in and be like, want to help with your class? And I'm like, oh, bitch.
Yeah. So we absolutely wanted to escape that. So we were like, let's just open a gym. We had been collecting equipment and buying stuff from Facebook Marketplace and all Craigslist and all this kind of stuff to just fill the space. And we were just like, let's just do it. Let's just figure it out. So we both quit our jobs at the same time and opened the gym. And now we're doing so much better. I mean, it was really hard because we opened in September of 2019, and then there was COVID.
That's what I'm saying, my nonprofit. I was like, oh, it's grand. And I was like, I've been doing 2 years of research and work. I funded this with my own money to make a difference. And then COVID was like, you know, I had plans.
Yeah.
I had plans.
We were both like, we just like accomplished our big dream. We made it happen. We could see it. We could feel it. And then boom, shut down completely. So we were both just like, what now? So we started putting out programs for people to do at home and giving that to all of our members and our personal training clientele and things like that. So we were working day in and day out to like create innovative ways for people to work out. So like I had people like taking hockey sticks and tying gallon water bottles to it to like,
that's very creative. I've never heard of hockey
and stuff and bench. And it started to become this fun thing where we were like, how can we make this happen? How can people still get stronger or figure their goals out whilst having nothing? And so that's how we coped with being shut down.
Hockey sticks.
Yes.
I was just thinking of weird strongman challenges in my head to do for our show now. I'm like,
I was so impressed when I saw that one. So my client, shout out Corey. I didn't give him this suggestion. I was just like, maybe find a broomstick and just start doing some mobility stuff. He texted me and he was like, I took bands, like resistance bands, and hooked gallon water bottles to it on my hockey stick and used it like a deadlift bar. And I was like, what?
Mind blown. Do what you gotta do. That's what I'm trying to say is like that the whole purpose of a gym is if you're a really good trainer and you're a very good gym, you don't need to spend a million sessions analyzing them. You should be able to figure out with one session with someone if you're really good. If you really have a good eye, you should be able to analyze someone's, flexibility, strength, all that good stuff, mobility, whatever, and be able to design around there with a lot or little equipment. It really, for any age or any disability, 100%.
Yeah, it was an incredible way to learn. That's how I look at it positively.
Yes. Now you're prepared for anything.
Literally. But when we opened back up, we kind of had a boom of people coming in and people started competing in strongman contests, competing in powerlifting. So between Stephen and I, we have quite a few clients that compete in strength sports, and then as well as softball players and baseball players, some football, wrestling. So everyone, we kind of wanted to create a space where people could feel safe in learning strengths and learning how to do certain things in the gym. So we have elite athletes all the way down to people who have never touched a barbell before, all training together. So it's been a really, really wonderful experience so far.
So now that you have learned all of this, wait, hold on a second. I thought of a funny thing. When I play softball, I pitched. I was a goalie in soccer, but you know what? The ball's a lot softer. There's a net, and I get to wear padding. Okay. I run from a ball. When a ball is coming at me and stuff, I can't play. So I'm like, oh God, oh no,
yes.
Oh God, that freaking hurts, man. Like I'm like, no, I'm running away. I will
have bruises, like giant circular bruises from when I was hit on accident. People would, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got hit on the head. That's not for me, bro. That's a respect. So back to the gym. I'm just like remembering old trauma as I'm talking. I'm like, oh, that's why I don't do that. I remember. So like now that you have learned all these different ways to train people online, in person, and have had the ability to be creative, now you can invent a hockey stick with the bands and the gallon jugs and stuff for an at-home training kit. Then go drink, then Shark Tank, whatever, Shark Tank, I think for the States, and get yourself some money, get your investment.
Yes.
What's your method of training as a personal trainer? Everyone has their style or their go-to programs, their go-to, hey, I'm going to start my clients with this. What is it like focusing on strength athletes? Because that's our primary focus of our show, experienced and intermediate athletes. When you got a new client that comes in your gym or training online with you at home, how do you approach training with them? So what's your methodology, some sciences you learned or that you think work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what I learned from all of the experience, especially within different sports now, is no matter who's coming in, the first 4 weeks should be all simple. Like you could have an elite athlete coming in, or you could have someone who's never, ever done anything like this before. It should be slow and simple and just adding on to it a little bit as you go. So I like to start people with just breaking down their main movements, their squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, and just see, like, I always kind of joke about it in my very first sessions with people, but I'm always like, have you ever done this before? And whether I get a yes or a no, I'm like, show me how you would do it. And I just let them, obviously with lightweight, and then kind of break it down from there, because I've noticed that people really learn when something's taught to them how their body can understand, as opposed to a set and linear way that everybody teaches it.
Yes, ma'am. I agree with that. I concur, especially from working with people with disabilities and being a disabled person myself. You know, you got to approach things differently. And yeah, it's like a good teacher, right? You speak in the language that, you know, reaches them the most, and adapt accordingly instead of just, that's why group fitnesses are great. Group fitness classes like Aquafit and stuff like that, but you still have to be able to throw things on the flat and alternate.
Right.
Like, get into the vibe of them, like find out who they are holistically in their heart and their soul and what makes them them, because everyone has their own walking gait, right? It's like the old hunter who, like, you know, looks at the shoe print in the stand, like, that guy is 200 pounds, he has change in his pocket, you know?
Yes.
The human body is that amazing and complex and different, and you have to take the time to just intuitively add things and take things away, like you just mentioned.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been different to go from at first like training in general population commercial places to then transitioning into athletes, like people who really want to compete within strength sports. That's been really fun to kind of play with their programming and learning different peak cycles and nutrition and things like that. Has been really fun.
Yeah, for sure, like 100%. So tell us about what programs you currently are offering, whether, you know, that you're directly involved with, you know, the YMCA as the public health director, and at Stone and Strength. I can't say, girl, Stone and Steel Athletics. It's in my head. But for new people who want to sign up or get involved and come see you, where are you located? I mean, I'm both on the screen, but for our listeners on just the audio only.
So Stone and Steel Athletics is located in Belvidere, Illinois. It's a Chicago suburb.
Chicago!
It's so funny because, like, the Chicago land area is so large. Like, when people say suburb, they could mean 5 minutes away from downtown or 2 hours, and you never know what they mean. But yes, we are a Chicago suburb. And then the YMCA that I also work at is located in Rockford, which is about 30 minutes from Belvidere. So I'm kind of in two separate places depending on the day. But Stone and Steel, we have two coaches, me and Steven. Steven handles most of the strongman athletes, and I handle most of the power lifters. We both handle strength and conditioning. So we do one-on-one clients. We have programs for anything from building your squat and deadlift to peaking for a powerlifting meet. So we've got all kinds of stuff going there. And then the YMCA is a little bit more, it's more niche. We've got our joint program, which is the aquatics program I was speaking of, Live Strong, which is training cancer survivors and all kinds of stuff. So
I know, I saw that. I was like, no, it's so great you're doing that. So 5, key points for our listeners, things that you want them to know to encourage them, inspire them, motivate them, things that you've learned from obviously overcoming eating disorder, recovering from injury, and becoming the amazing person, successful person that you never knew you could be today.
Yes, thank you. Well, I would say the biggest thing that I think I've been reflecting on, and I try to teach other people, is it's okay to suck. It's okay to be Everyone has that starting point where they're absolutely terrible at something, whether they're an Olympic athlete or just getting into it, like, you're going to be equally as bad. So just embrace that. And another thing is, especially to women, do not be afraid to get strong, both physically and mentally, because we go through so much, like we talked about, so much judgment of ourselves and taught so hard to hate ourselves. There's something so empowering about getting strong physically. Yeah. And it really aids in improving your mental health, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Those are my 2 big points. And reach out. I feel like that's something I wish someone would have told me at like 14-year-old me, when I was first starting to struggle is like, tell someone you need help and keep telling people until somebody listens, because somebody out there is willing to help you. You just have to find them and be around the right person to kind of aid in that growth. Like I didn't really see that I needed help until I met someone who saw that in me. So don't be afraid to be honest with yourself if things aren't going great within your head. And we teach that heavily in public health as well.
Yeah.
And eat. That's my final point. Eat.
Be like a panda and eat. So you guys check out my Instagram. It's Thick Stephanie. You'll find Cooking with Fantastic. Just check out Fantastic on the Instagram. And like I said, join our Facebook group, Team Panda Strong. And if you're training in the gym, you can check out our Spotify playlist, Team Panda or Panda Strong Cardio for those cardio beats in the gym. And the Train Panda Strong Cardio or Strong, which this is just like, you know, WAP and, you know, all kinds of, you know, gangster rap. It's really good. Just check it out. Follow
that
it.
Was my number one song for 2020 was WAP.
That's how I know how old you are right there. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I love Megan Thee Stallion. You know, I love Doja Cat. I love Victoria Monet. I don't know what the hell happened to her. She kind of disappeared. And she looks a lot like, she moves a lot like Janet Jackson. She has a similar style to Doja. It's very interesting. But anyways, I loved him. Like those empower women, beautiful, making them beats, you know. Iggy was fine, and then Iggy fell off stage.
Just disappeared.
Right away. I don't know where she is. And then whenever I think of Dupla or Duplo, all I think of is her like hip swivel that everyone mends, like that hip swivel she was doing, the arm. She's not a dancer, and they're trying so hard to make her a dancer. They just give her like this hip swivel. It's so funny. That reminds me very much of like 80s aerobics classes for sure. But no, I mean, like I said, I think your story is really powerful. I think you're breaking all these records at your age and doing all you've done. I mean, that's just a testament to your character and who you are. And as much as it sucked at the time, that's why people were disappointed, because you're like so much potential, right? Like you're, you know what I mean? And it's hard because people do want to see the best of you. They don't even say it or handle it the right way. But you got the last laugh because look at you, girl. Look at you. You know, all that hustle and grind paid off. And I think, you know, now you can make a huge difference in the world by having your own gym. You know, it's totally true. And by the way, Steven, I'm not surprised your name is Steven, because there's a lot of Stevens that own strongman gyms. It's so funny.
With beards.
With beards and big curly beards every time. It's never a CrossFitter, Steven, who's like, you know, Farquad cheekbones, you know. But no, I mean, you're going to help so many more women. And like you said, I wish when I was younger, I had someone like you and other people like you to inspire me and kind of give you that permission from representation to go and live and do. But like, don't wait. Like that, don't wait for permission. That thing like you said about training strong and having strong mindset is like, you know, the only thing I regret and I'm ashamed of in my youth is that I was always trying to be too nice to people and be polite, because that's how I was raised. That comes around my faith and my religion, the way I was raised as a kid. And that influence of be a girl and just take one to the team and be like, and not say no and not fight for yourself and be savage. And that's what like our brand is all about, and what I firmly believe in is you have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for your life. There's enough space. Everyone has a place in society. At any time of your life, you could be down and still help someone. You can still have power and influence and make a change in your community, in your family. You can become a better wife, better husband, whatever. There's always a point in time where you can make things better. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to figure it all out today. You don't have to get all the pieces perfectly in order. You know what? I am doing things now that I wanted to do 10 years ago, but I was afraid of failure. Or I was self-sabotaged because I was afraid of success, because, you know, you're like, I don't know, maybe I'm not up to snuff for all of this, or I can't handle that imposter syndrome. But, you know, get angry, get savage, and fuel that into a positive thing that helps your life. And that's all I know. It's a positive change. It's a positive change. It's going to slowly change your whole world. Do not worry about all the extra details, the ins and the outs and whatever. Like if I would have, you know, it's funny because a lot of times I start things after I'm like, you crazy person, you are crazy. You know what I mean? Like having a 17-month-old and, you know, just saying 17. And it was like, how is that? How was my baby almost here? How did I start this brand a year and a half ago? Well, no, because he was 3 months old. So, count a second, math. Year plus 2, whatever, some time ago. You know, I would have probably not done it if I thought about all the details. And that's my problem is don't be an overthinker. Like in my 20s, I was always like, you know, don't obsess. I mean, get checked, get weighed on occasion, you know, check your hormone levels, you know, like I said, reach out for help or whatever, but don't have to have all the answers. That's what I've learned in life. Like the back, that inner peace is kind of the yin and yang with the panda thing, is finding that inner peace on the inside, but still fight on the outside. But just like, you got to make amends here. Because if you can't be at peace with yourself, you can't forgive yourself, you can't let go, you will never move forward. And the whole world is waiting for you. They need you, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Sorry, I told someone listening to know that you are so much worth more than your grades in high school and the shitty boyfriend that used to beat you up. You are worth way more than all of that bullshit.
Yeah.
You know?
Never ever be afraid to take up space and to learn and to make mistakes and to go in and go out of who you are. Like it's a constant process of relearning yourself.
Fail forward, take a chance, take a risk. You know, when you said stuck, it's like own the stuck. At least whenever something, like, yeah, at least I fucking did it though. You did nothing. You sat on your ass. Yeah. I try a million times. There's nothing but life experience you learn from that. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, don't be going gambling and spending $4,000 on the, you know, machines and be like, Stephanie told me to take risks. Not those kind of risks, people. Not those kinds. And,
disclaimer, we don't mean.
Disclaimer, we don't condone violence. Blah, 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 blah. I'll just put it on the screen. And YouTube won't. I said something on my last podcast after that, and YouTube muted the whole sound, and I was like, no! And I tried to upload it, I kept trying to edit, and YouTube's like, you shall not pass. And I'm like, well then. I guess we got too real for you. Not my problem. Okay. But anyways, it was a huge pleasure to have you on. You are just a ray of light and sunshine. You can tell you have a heart of gold. And I just love you. Look at this. You're brighter than my ring light. There's so much sun coming out of you.
It's snowing here. I've got the snow light.
Don't you blame the light for your personality. Don't you take accountability and responsibility. I'm just kidding. But you're fabulous. And I'm so happy for you that you chose to love yourself enough to reach out for help and overcome those challenges. Because like people always ask me this question in my 20s. I think it's a dumb question. I ain't happy. No, you want to know why happy is a dumb question? Because lots of things I find joy in or I enjoy, like I'm not always happy. Like being around my kids, sometimes they drive me crazy, but I still love them. Still happy, but I'm not happy. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be always like happy and smiling and content. It's good to be somewhat content and still have peace, because then you know that you're wanting more out of life, right? So don't ignore that irk. Like you said, listen to your body, listen to your soul. Yeah. I truly believe we're all spiritual beings and we're connected. And you know, you call it the matrix, but at any point in time, things can dramatically change in your life, you know?
I totally agree.
Driving a glitter Escalade down the road. That's my plan. I'm currently saving. I'm really excited about it.
I'm in full of that.
It'll be like our brand. I mean, it's so freaking bright. They'll have like the laser lights underneath blinking and spinning rims. And if I could make it so that I had a muffler that wasn't actually connected to the engine and it made a muffler sound and I could press a button and it would shoot out glitter, like just a little bit of glitter, you know, as I'm revving away, I would so pay that. They'd be like, that's $3,000. Like, that's okay. That works for me. That's a bit. And metallic paint too. So like it changes colors. If it like water hits it, oh Lord Jesus! A mechanic company to contact this show. We do partnership and collaboration. But thank you so much for being on our show and sharing your story. I really hope you guys connect with her. We're gonna have some really exciting news coming out. I'll be talking to Mya about it after the show. Oh, so make sure you stay tuned in on our Instagram, Facebook, and like I said, let us know what you thought about the show. Any questions for her, comment on the section below, and she will see it. And we will see you on the next episode of Panda Talk Podcast. Our Savage Pandas, turn it out. Ready? Dance time. Toot.